Hi, this is Michelle, and welcome back to Call Me Crazy. Today is Sunday, October 12th, 2025. Last week, my video was entitled, If You Can Respect Your Boss, You Can Respect Your Husband. In keeping with that theme of respect, I'm going to talk today about some more examples or some more ways that you can show respect to your husband. So let's talk about that today. Keep listening. Move on to the video, I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers, all the people that have been viewing the videos, have been commenting and sharing the videos. Thank you so much. I am so grateful, and I'm looking forward to the channel growing. And I just want to say thank you. Keep your private business private. So often what happens is when women have a problem with their husband, they go and they talk about it to their friends and family, and they say, oh, he's this, he's that, he did this, he did that, all these negative things. And then what ends up happening? Then you guys work it out and you get back together. Now you have a problem because your friends or your family are going to look at him in a negative way, and you can't take back those things you said. Now you guys have worked it out. So now you're in a pickle because now they're looking at him like a certain type of way. And it's really disrespectful to him because really that stuff should be private. Now, if you guys have an issue, you and your husband, that you can't work out, you've tried everything, you've talked about it, you've tried to compromise, you've tried to come to some agreement, and it's just not working out, then you guys should get together and talk to a neutral party together. Talk to somebody you both trust, that you can get a fresh perspective on things. But don't go outside the relationship, you by yourself, and talk about it with other people, because that's your private business. And he needs to know that he can trust you with your private business. There's nothing worse or more disrespectful to a man when he hears from an outside source something that you guys have private together. That really hurts a man's feelings, and it's very disrespectful, and it makes him see you in a negative light. So really try to avoid that as much you can. Keep your friends and family out of your business. This is so important. What I would recommend, if you're a lady in a relationship or a marriage and you have always gone to a friend or family to talk about your problems in your relationship, try this. Try not doing that for 3 months, 6 months. Just literally keep everything private. Do not talk to anybody about it unless you and your husband agree that this is someone you're going to talk to. Just keep it to yourself. Keep it private. You will be amazed to know how much your relationship will improve just by doing that one thing. And this really goes back to what I spoke about in a previous video about having emotional control. If you can't control yourself, then you most likely will talk your business to other people. You have to have control over yourself. And at some point we have to stop acting like we're in high school, like we're teenagers. When we're in high school and we're having a problem with our boyfriend, we run to our friend and we say, hey, guess what Joe did to me? You'll never believe what Joe did. And you tell them the whole story, and you just tell all your business. At some point we have to stop acting like we're in high school and act like we're grown adults and we have some control about ourselves. So this is really about self-control. When you're having an issue in your relationship, sometimes it's hard to keep that private. Sometimes you want to so bad just to go tell somebody about it and just vent. But we really have to control ourselves and control our emotions and have self-control. So really, this is about practicing self-control. This next point is kind of in keeping with the first one I talked about keeping your business private. It's not really the same, but it's related in a way. And it's, do not badmouth your husband, especially when he's not around. The way I look at it is, you should never say anything at all about your husband that you wouldn't say to his face. So what happens is when ladies get with their girlfriends or their family, where they say, oh, he's this, he's that, all these negative things to their friends or family, and it's really disrespectful, because would you say that to his face? Well, at least I would hope you wouldn't. Maybe some people would, but I would hope not. So if it's not something that you would get in a public place and say about him or to his face. You shouldn't say it at all. As a matter of fact, you should defend his name. You should defend him when he's not around. If somebody says anything negative about him, you should jump to his defense and guard his name and guard his reputation. So showing your man respect is not only to his face, but also when he's not around, when other people are speaking of him. It should be known to anyone in your circle that they can't say anything negative about your husband, because they already know from past experience that you don't play that. So this should be something that's understood in your circles. And if it's not understood, then you really have to correct that. And you have to let it be known that they don't talk bad about your husband around you. You're not going to accept that. So if you're a lady and you've been in the habit of talking bad about your husband behind his back, or you go to your friends and family and you badmouth him, try to steer the conversation in a different direction the next time that comes up. I mean, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but when these things come up, try to steer the conversation in a direction where you're going to say, hey guys, I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. And slowly over time, people will get the idea that, that type of talk is not going to be allowed around you, and gradually steer yourself where you don't do that anymore. And you're going to see a great improvement in how your man will respect you, because believe it or not, you think he doesn't know that you do that, but trust me, he does. Even though he's not around, they can feel it. They can feel the energy from you. So try to correct that and move it in a different direction where people only speak positively about him around you, or if they don't want to speak positively, they just don't speak about him at all. Don't raise your voice. Now, some women, when they hear this, they say, what do you mean don't raise my voice? When I get upset, I raise my voice. I yell, I scream, I shout. Well, that's something you need to correct. Now, people will say, even when you're upset, you don't raise your voice? Yes, even when I'm upset. Even when you're angry, you don't raise your voice? Yes, even when I'm angry, I don't raise my voice. Even when you disagree about something? Yes, even when I disagree about something. This is a non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned when it comes to respect. You don't ever, 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 ever raise your voice. Yes, you heard right, never. If you're upset, you can express yourself, but you don't have to raise your voice. If you're angry, you can say what you have to say, but you don't have to raise your voice. If you have a disagreement about something, you can talk about it. You can express your point of view, but you don't have to raise your voice. Well, what if he raises his voice? Well, that's beside the point. That doesn't mean you have to. This is not a competition. This is not a shouting match. As a lady, as a wife, when I say never, I mean never. You never raise your voice. As a matter of fact, just as a lady in society in general, I think it's kind of like a rule that you never raise your voice, because it's not ladylike, it's not elegant, it's not becoming of a grown adult woman. So I can't even think of a situation where I would have to raise my voice. I mean, maybe if there was a fire, I had to scream fire, maybe, but just in normal conversation, normal everyday life, I think that a lady, and especially a wife, should never raise her voice. And this is a non-negotiable. Stop participating in man bashing. Oh, this is a pet peeve of mine. And this is something that I come across a lot in day-to-day life, when you're having a conversation just in general with people just around. There's a lot of man bashing. There's this idea that, men are stupid, men are incompetent, men need help, men are babies, men are this, men are that. I don't buy into any of that, because like I said in one of my previous videos, when we as women have a problem or we're in a compromising situation, what do? We call on a man. When we call 911, we want a man to come help us. We don't want a lady to come help us. When there's a fire and we call the fire department, we want a big strapping man to show up at the door. We don't want a little lady to come. When we're on the side of stranded on the side of the road with a flat tire, we want a man to come help us who can handle the job. So we depend on men to do the hard, tough jobs that we don't want to do. And just in general, men kind of build a society. I know women don't like to hear that. I know that's not a popular opinion, but men are the ones who build a society. They do the tough jobs. They build the infrastructure. They build the buildings. They provide the things that make us comfortable every day. And we want to call on men when we're in trouble. So I think overall that demands a certain level of respect. Now, of course, your man gets the utmost, but I'm talking about in general. Men deserve a certain level of respect. So we really need to stop this man bashing that's going on in our society today. Even when you watch TV, when you see television programs, what do we see? Oh, the woman is the smart, competent one, and the man is the bumbling idiot. We really got to stop this. And I really don't like participating in this. When these types of conversations come up, I usually just exit stage left because I'm not going to participate. I don't agree with it. I think it's a theme, a running theme that we really need to move away from. And if you really want to be a woman who's respectful, stop participating in these kinds of conversations. Find ways to agree. Don't make everything a competition. Now, what I mean by this is, if your husband says to you, oh, I don't like such and such a thing, oftentimes we'll rebut with, well, what about when you do such and such? Or what about when you did this the other day? No, it's not a competition. Find ways to agree, and perhaps when he says something, maybe just say, you know what? Maybe you're right. Let me think about that. Maybe I could work on that. And our men don't expect us to be perfect. They don't expect perfection. They just want us to try. They just want us to just give a little. You don't have to be perfect. So find ways to agree, find ways to be cooperative, find ways to not be combative, find ways to stop having everything be a competition. Stop back talking. I know that's gonna be a tough one because it sounds like children, but that's not what I mean. Stop trying to just always make everything a competition. So the next time when your man or your husband says something that it might sting a little bit, or maybe you don't agree with it, just try to take it in and don't react right away. Don't have something to say back right away. Just kind of say, yeah, maybe I'll think about that. You might be right. Maybe I'll think about that. And, just try. They don't want us to be perfect. They just want us to just try. Just try a little bit and think about what he says, and maybe come back at a later time and give some feedback. But at least think about it. At least take in what he's saying, and don't let everything be a competition. And I'm going to end with this last point about dressing modestly. Now, we live in a society that is so sexualized, that is so out there, that is so, everything's in your face, everything's so exploited. And, this is really, truly overdone, in my opinion. And I've even heard men say that, when women are showing their cleavage and they're showing their butt and everything's just out there, they're like, we're just tired of that. Like we're immune to it now. Like we don't even care anymore. It's like, it's not even attractive. And keeping with that theme, when you're in a committed relationship or a marriage, your husband doesn't want other people seeing your body in a sexual way. If your body in a sexual way is only for him, not for other people. And I'm not saying you have to dress like a nun. I'm not saying that you have to be covered from head to toe and you have to be, like dressing like a 90-year-old woman. Nobody's saying that. You can still be elegant and be classy, but cover up and just be modest and be conservative and just keep your body private for only your husband. Your body is not for the whole world to see. Your body shouldn't be sexualized out in public. That's only for you in a private situation. So ladies, if you want to see an improvement in your relationship, try some of these tips. Just implement them for a short time. You would be amazed to know how the dynamics of your relationship will change. I found that when I implemented these things in my life, my relationships dramatically got better. So give these things a try and let me know how it goes. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.